Hey, welcome back to my channel, Indieauthor Jill. Today we are looking at The Essence of His Soul by Mya Kay. This one was one I was kind of interested in getting to because it's, most of the romances that I get are either cozy romances or they're spicy romances, and this is a Christian romance, and so I was interested in that, and it's very heavy-handed on the Christianity, which is fine. I'm not going to get into a whole lot about the book because it's definitely a book that you just really want to experience, like, organically. But the back summary does a really good job of explaining what's going on in the book. So you have Essence, and she is the son of what Shane calls a mega pastor. Her mom and dad are both mega pastors, and so she grew up as a PK, or a preacher's kid, and Shane also grew up as a preacher's kid, but his dad was not as much of a mega pastor as her dad was, but he was still pretty well up there as far as pastors go. And so Essence, according to the back of the book, Essence owns a record label, and she's wanting one of her up-and-coming talents to perform at Shane's coffee and tea house, so that, you know, exposure and everything, but, like, you always want to get your artist in front of audiences, obviously. And at first she doesn't realize that Shane Bishop is the owner of the place. She thinks the guy behind the counter who's yelling into the phone is the owner of the place, because he's arguing with someone on the phone about the talent is that he has hired for Saturday is now not coming. And he's like, "What do you mean you're not coming? I can't find someone to replace you in 2 days. You're supposed to be here Saturday. What do you mean you're not coming? What am I going to do about that?" And by the sound of the conversation, it sounds like the other person on the other end of the phone has basically said, "That's a you problem. Sorry, not sorry." And Essence immediately jumps at the opportunity, and she says, "I think I can help you out. You know, I've got a talent agency, and I have a record label, and I have a star that I think would do great here." And he's like, No, we don't want any has-beens. We do celebrities." And she's like, "Actually, my artist may not be at the same caliber as the person you just lost, but she's up there, okay?" And so she pulls up the woman's TikTok and the website and shows it to him, and he's like, okay, you're right, not the same caliber, but really close." And so they strike a deal to get her to perform, and while they're talking through this deal, the owner, Shane Bishop, comes through, and he's like, "Hey, is there a problem here?" And she's like, the guy's, he's like, is my manager giving you a hard time?" Basically, like, he's kind of teasing her. And she's like, "No." And the manager's like, "I'm doing nothing wrong, and she is saving our bacon, so no, I'm not irritating her. I'm being a good boy." And so they get to talking and everything, and there's a bit of, like, casual flirting from the guys, both of the guys, and, like, even the manager of the restaurant is, like, complimenting her outfit and everything. And Essence recognizes Shane right away. She recognizes, like, "Okay, what do you mean you're the owner?" And he's like, "Why wouldn't I be the owner?" And she's like, "'Cause you're an NBA megastar. Like, you don't really have tea and coffee vibes." And he's like, "Yeah, but owning a coffee bar, that's where the money is. So, like, it's good money. Why wouldn't I sell coffee?" And she's like, fair point. She can't really argue that. And there's definitely some chemistry between the two of them when they first meet. But both of them are very resistant to that because they've had past relationships that did not go so great. And they're both very focused on their spiritual journey and their spiritual health. And both of them are like, yes, I want to get into a relationship again. Yes, I want to get married and, have a wife or a husband. But they're both very focused on in God's time, not my time, and making sure it's the right thing. And so at first they're very resistant, but and it's annoying as a reader sometimes when you have when you're reading romance, there's going to be resistance to the relationship, but this relationship is going to happen, but the getting there is frustrating, but it's also why we read these books, because we want that journey, and we want that relationship to be earned. We don't want it to be like, if they're like, hey, you're cute and I'm feeling a connection and let's just start dating and everything just worked out, we'd stop reading. We'd close the book and go on to something else because the relationship wasn't earned. So it is frustrating. But it's also understandable. Like the frustrating part is very relatable, because what you have here is two God-fearing people who are also, fortunately, God-obeying people. So, when they get the message, they're like, okay, we get it. But there's still a little resistance, and it's not just because of the whole past. Obviously, there's the whole, you gotta let go you can't move into the future without letting go of the past. And falling in love is always going to be a risk, but it's always a risk that's worth taking, especially when everything is lining up. But what we get with this is these relatable moments where you see it in what's that movie? Disney's Tangled. No, not Tangled. The Princess and the Frog. Yeah, where Tiana and Naveen have both been turned into frogs, and they go and find Mama Odie because they know she can turn them back to human, apparently. And so they go to her and they're like, hey, we're here for your services. And she's like, okay, why did you seek me out? And they're like, we want to be human again. And she's like, okay, but what do you need? And they're like, we told you, we want to be human again. And she's like, you told me what you want. Tell me what you need. And Naveen says, what we want, what we need, they're the same thing, yes? And she's like, no, they're not the same thing. And basically she goes through this whole song and dance about how, with Naveen, you want to be a handsome, rich prince again, but it didn't make you happy then. Why would it make you happy now? Fall in love, And she tells the same thing to Tiana. You want this restaurant, and that's all great and fine, but what's the point of having this wildly successful restaurant if you don't have anybody to get in the trenches with you and share the journey with and share the successes with, And so they find that in order to get what they want, they have to first get what they need. But so often when, especially those of us who are faith-based in our lives, we have this mentality of, okay, this is what I want, but is it what I need? And you just kind of get this feeling like, well, just because it's what I want doesn't mean it's what I need. And it's very either or. I have to give up what I want to get what I need. And in this case, you get the surprise of, no, what you want is what you need. And it's one and the same. But, they're resistant. Again, like I said, humans have this mindset, especially faith-based humans, of maybe I want it, but it's not right. And there's actually a guy in our church, somebody asked him, how do I know, like, if I'm listening, I feel like I'm listening to the Holy Spirit, and I feel like the Holy Spirit is telling me to do this thing, and I really want to do this thing, but how do I know it's the right thing, or if it's just what I want to do? And his advice was 4 things. He's like, the 4 steps. First, stop worrying about it. Second, be a good boy or a good girl. Third, honor your covenants. And fourth, press forward. And basically he goes through, if you work through these steps, like, first of all, don't worry about whether or not it's what the Holy Spirit wants you to do or what you want to do. Ask yourself, first of all, are you being a good boy or girl? Is the thing that you want to do, is anybody going to is it going to hurt you or somebody else to do it? If nobody is getting hurt and it, then you're probably okay. Go on to the next question. Next question, honor your covenants. Is it in keeping with gospel principles? And if you're not really sure what the gospel principles are, just start with the 10 commandments. Is what you want to do going to break any of the 10 commandments? If the answer is yes, probably step away. If the answer is no, okay, go on to the next step. Press forward. So, if you're, in their case, they want to get into this relationship. The first thing is, like, stop worrying about whether it's going to go good or go bad, because if you enter a relationship with what if it doesn't work out, then what's the point of getting into any relationship? You get into a relationship with the intent that it's going to work out. Humans have a good BS meter, and, like, you have a good gut feeling, and I myself have been guilty of ignoring red flags. I understand that. But the signs were there, and I can see that the signs were there. And there were several times when I should have just walked away. Like, the gut feeling was there to just walk away from that situation, and I didn't, because I'm a stubborn, stupid female sometimes. But, in this case, okay, stop worrying about whether or not it's going to fail or not, or whether he's a player, or whether she's, just using you. Like, does it feel right? Does the connection feel right? And they, like I said, they have a connection. Like, even when they're talking about, when they step away from each other and they're talking about that first meeting, they're reflecting on it. They're reflecting on not how they looked, but how they felt in their presence, how comfortable they were in their presence. How good it felt just to be having a conversation with him or with her. And even Shane says, you know what? Like, when she walks away, he's ready to call after her, and he's like, no, I'm not going to call after her, because if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. In God's time. And so then you go on to the next section there, honoring covenants. Well, she's not in a relationship with anyone, so you don't have to worry about adultery. He's not in a relationship with anyone. Same deal. That's the biggest covenant, the biggest commandment in this situation that should be first and foremost considered. Are they in a relationship with someone? Walk away. Don't even touch it. But if they're not in a relationship, then shoot your shot, And then after that, press forward. Go for it, I think I think as far as Christian romances go, like, if you like Christian romances, this is definitely a book for you. A book that you should read. I think you'll enjoy it. I like the way that Shane and Essence do a lot of self-reflecting on different things. They never rush into anything. They're always just, they stop, and they're always willing to stop. Like, their characters are genuine. They have a genuine characterization to where, like, even the waitress, when she notices Essence Taylor, she realizes, oh, this is Essence Taylor. This is a woman who I admire, and she starts asking her for advice. Essence could totally be like, hey, listen, I just want to eat my sandwich and drink my tea and get some work done, you know. But instead, she's like, yeah, ask me questions. I will guide you. I'll give you, here's my email address. Shoot me an email and let's talk. Let's get, let's get together and discuss what you want to do with your future, you know. When she's leaving, she accidentally runs into Shane Bishop, and she bumps into him, and his immediate reaction isn't, hey, watch where you're going, what are you doing? It's, hey, are you okay? You know, his first concern is for whether or not she's safe or unharmed. And he voices his concern, and when she starts calling him Mr. Bishop, he's like, I told you, call me Shane, you don't have to call me Mr. Bishop. And she's like, and I told you I'm not following that rule. And he's like, you did tell me that. Like they already have this really good relationship, and like they're good with people, and they care about the people around them, whether it's people that they know or people that are just coming up to them because they admire them, you know. And like I said, I just love the genuineness of these characters and how they're kind to people around them. Even Essence points out that Shane was not nearly as cocky as she thought he was, and she was even surprised to find that he was himself a Christian. And like I said, I don't want to get too much into, like, I don't want to get too much into the book because, like I said, it should be experienced organically. There's so much to love about the book. So I would absolutely recommend the book. Like I said, I don't know what else to say about it. I do enjoy it. Now, this was not self-published, but it is indie-authored. So if you are a fan of, if you're a fan of well-written books, like this is the first one I've read from the Beloved publishing house, and the first one I've read by Mya Kay. She does have other books available. Storms of Love, Battles of Love, In Loving Bliss, Fumbled Your Heart, Love to the Bee Power, Love to the Baby Power, and A Star-Studded Love. All sound like really good books that I would probably enjoy. I enjoyed how the biggest thing I enjoyed about this book is how it made me feel. Like it runs the gamut of emotions. Yeah. Yeah, it's worth a read, okay? Beloved Publications does focus on, how do they say? I want to say it respectfully. Where authors celebrate black men, black women, and black love. Yeah, they say it so well. It's so poetic the way they say it. But yeah, definitely a great publishing house. If this is any indication of the kind of things that they publish, then I'm an immediate fan. So, like I said, I love the emotional roller coaster it takes you on. I love the genuineness of the characters. it was just a well-told story. I don't know what else to say about it than that. But definitely worth a read. So that's all I got for you today. I will leave the link in the description below. And definitely check out more of Mya Kay's books and more books by this publisher. I'm definitely going to be checking out some more of their the books in their catalog. So that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you later. Oh, shut up. My phone's always got something to add. Alright. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.